Well, hello, everyone. I am Brandon Carroll, Director of the Tech Evangelist team here at Riverbed. In this section, we're going to talk about network visibility, and we'll get into a little bit of synthetic testing with NetIM. And so what exactly is NetIM? Well, NetIM is designed to provide us real-time infrastructure visibility. And the way that it does that is it collects a lot of the standard sort of device metrics that you may be familiar with, things like SNMP, pull in information from the CLI through SSH, right? So it can log in and pull information in. WMI is another option if that's available to us, as well as other sources. So external sources, APIs, there's a lot of different ways. So essentially, as well as synthetic tests. So NetIM is just this database where we collect all of these different elements, and then we're able to do some pretty cool things on those, like set some thresholds and configure some alerts so that it lets you know when things are sort of out of whack and not looking the way that you expect them to be. So we take in and we ingest all of that information into NetIM, and then from there you get alerts, you get graphs. It tracks configuration changes, so you can go back and look and see, what's happened there. We can alert on that stuff. And then it also can provide us the application network path. So the path that an application is taken through the network, and it'll break it down and show you the devices and interfaces and step-by-step through from there. So that's what NetIM is. I'm going to take this approach as we look at the issue and see if maybe it's a network problem that I'm looking at with some of our hardware or something. So let's jump into my demo. And here I'm looking at the home screen of NetIM, and you can tell. It's kind of your standard metrics, device health, interface health. So I'm looking at things like my CPU utilization and interface utilization, and I'm looking to see how that looks. And then it's all color coded, as you can tell. And I'm able to see things like, is it healthy? And it just gives me a real quick look as to what's performing well and maybe what's not, what's crossed some thresholds that I don't want to see. And we could be pulling anything in here. It could even be container resources that I'm reporting back on. If I can get that information, I can pull it in here and I can display it. What I want to do, I'm just going to open up our side menu here. And as I look here at the side menu, this is a list of all of the devices that I have here in NetIM. And they're all color coded again. So green is good. And then, it kind of rolls down from there. So green, and then yellow, orange, and red. And I can kind of start to see, based on the thresholds, how bad things are looking. And I'm able to navigate to specific devices here. I could also use that search tab, and I could search on a specific device if I knew what area I was concerned with. Now, I want to move here into the middle part. Here's my car rental east region. And when I jump into here, so you can see this is JFK, my WAN and my core, and they look to be 100% healthy, right? So I can have other devices that are kind of aggregated into this region, but again, the quick look, it doesn't look like anything is being overutilized here. So that looks okay. Let me go ahead and just click back, and let's take a look at our west region. And here I have my SJC WAN. So that's my WAN edge device. That's an SD-WAN gateway running Still Connect EX. And everything again here looks to be good. So just at that quick look at a couple regions, everything seems to be looking okay from a network perspective. Now, from here, I just want to kind of take a look. Let me back out. And let's click on metrics. And here we can just see a list of all the device metrics in one dashboard. Kind of gives me an idea of everything that's being monitored, how things are reporting into NetIM. And of course, all of these metrics that we can take and send off the portal and then display them in some kind of meaningful way, along with or side by side with telemetry data and information that you're getting from other devices like Eternity and Net Profiler and so on. But again, everything all in one screen here. Let's click on Alerts. And here I'm looking at my Alerts Manager. And as I look at my Alerts Manager, you can see at the bottom, of course, a list of alerts. And when I look at these alerts, I can see the violation levels. Some are critical, some are minor. But as I go through the columns, I can see who it is, the IP address. I can see the alert profile, where those thresholds would be, the values, the violation, when I saw it, how many times I've seen it. So it starts to give me an idea of, what's going on overall. And in here, so far, I don't see anything that's standing out that looks like it would be something related, at least in this case, to our rental app and those users that are seeing problems. So also, if I just hover over or expand this More menu, you'll notice that I can do things like create reports here, look at reports that have been generated. I have my path monitoring capability in there. We can do our IPSLAs from here. And as well, you can see the synthetic tests. And we're going to spend a little more time on the synthetic tests here in NetIM specifically. And we'll take a look at these. So let's go here to configure. And then we're going to go to all settings. And then I'm going to go to under administrator, synthetic test sources. And so this list that we're looking at now, this is my list of all the sources of synthetic tests. So where the test is coming from. And so these would just be lightweight agents that are running the tests. Now, when I look through the list, some are active, some may not be. But these are all deployed in the cloud, in a VM in Azure, AWS, GCP, in a data center, a branch, wherever it is, it's deployed out there, and then it's reaching out to a URL or a domain controller, or it's doing ping testing or something along that, and it's installed on Linux or Windows or whatever, and it's out there performing the tests. Now, from here, if I click on synthetic tests, I'll get a list of all of the actual tests that I'm performing, and you can see there's quite a bit that I'm able to do here. I've got HTTP, ping. I have external scripts. If I go down here a little bit further, there's some database. There's a database test that I'm able to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for NFD over here, and here are the machines that I have already set up for synthetic testing for our scenario here. And these are really machines that are set up on those low-cost modems in an airport, and they look like an end user. So they're just testing against rental app for us. As if they were the end user, so we can get a sense for what the end user in our different regions are going to be seeing. So if I go here into the central region and I look at the graphical representation here, I can see things like a response time. One thing that I don't like, and I did see it on the list of all three, but in here it's a little more apparent, the success rate of the test is at 80%. And for a customer perspective, that's not good. But look at the average response time is 8,441 milliseconds. So over 8 seconds in response time. So something's going on. It doesn't look good here from this synthetic test. And this is just an HTTP test. It's just going out and testing against our rental app. So let me click back. And let's do that search again. And I'll just search for NFD, and let's select those devices. And here you can see the East now also has a success rate of 80%. And my response time here is high. And again, it doesn't look good. We can see that, it's not performing at 100%, and that's really what I want. So something's definitely going on. I'm going to hit back one more time. I'm going to search for our machines again. And let's go into our West region this time. Now, the success rate's a little higher here at 95%, but the average response time is over 10 seconds. So what I'm seeing here as I look at these synthetic tests, regardless of the region that I'm testing from, it's consistently an issue with slowness and response time. So I definitely have a problem here. Now, we could get more granular. I could go into metrics and I could actually select the HTTP tests here and look at the whole list of tests. And I can see their failure reasons, and I can see when it reported down or if it was up, and the test response time and all of that stuff here. So I could dig into it this way. That's one way for me to dig into the data and get a little bit more information out. But what I want to do, I want to take a look at these tests. Let's go in here again. And I'm going to go under monitor and then select synthetic testing this time, because it's what we're doing, right? We're monitoring something with these synthetic tests. We're pointing it at something and we're telling it to go out and check. It's basically a monitoring job, right? So this is where we would come in and work with our synthetic testing engine. All kinds of options that we have in here. We can check page views with Selenium. We can do DNS responses and all of the agents, those sources of synthetic tests, they're all managed from right here in NetIM. So let's have a look at one. I'll go ahead and hit edit, and we'll just go through a couple of simple tests. So here's one. I'll select it. It's a ping test. It's already deployed, so I'm just editing the existing one. And you can see there's some basic settings, and I can attach regexes to it, set the ping count, that kind of stuff. And then select the machine that I want to deploy this test to, right? So I have my whole list of agents that are sitting out there. And then here, the IP address that I want to run the test against. So that's it. And then here's just the kind of the wrap up, the summary page of what I'm going to do. And if I click finish, it deploys that test. So that's one example, just a simple ping test. I'm going to go back here. Let me hit previous. Let's back up and let's grab another one. And let's look at this script test. So here's a script test. The script needs to be local on the machine that's doing the testing. So when I come in here, I can do things like set up my credentials, but then at the same time, I can also grab that script and tell it where it's at, push that up to the machine, and then define my commands. Of course, same thing we saw before. This is defining the machines that I want the test to be implemented on. Okay, so that's another type, the external script. Just a couple more. I'll go back here. We'll look at another one. And for this one, I want to grab an LDAP. And this is nice to see because it could be internal. We could be doing these tests internally. We could look at Active Directory here. And then I can go in and I can change the different values for my base DN and my search string and the user path and all that kind of stuff. Port and username, all that's kind of standard stuff. But you can make adjustments as you need to. And then again, we get our whole list of devices and we define which one we want the test to be applied to. In this case, like our local machines. And then, of course, as I go through here, I can set expected responses. And those expected responses are key because when I do the test, if I don't get the expected response, well, now there's my pass-fail option. So let's go back one more time. For this one, I'll show you an example of that. Here's a database test. Here, I'm able to go out and test against my SQL database. I can set all my properties, put my credentials in. There's my expected results. Down at the bottom there, I can put in what I expect to see and then push that out to my machine that's going to perform the test for me and then see what happens. We can see if it's successful or not. If it fails, then I get an alert and I can proceed accordingly. So since we're working through this issue with Rental App, let's create a test and let's see if we can get some more details on what's going on. Maybe help out a little bit here. So I'm going to create a test here, and you'll notice I have different test types. I can do a DNS test or an HTTP test, TCP, LDAP. Selenium, as I mentioned, if we wanted to do something like set it up to log into a site or to add stuff to a cart, and I want to see that process as it goes. Database, external script, I showed you those. But let's go ahead for this one and select a DNS test. I'm going to call this one DNS-test. And in the dropdown, I'm going to say DNS. And here under properties, I'm going to put in my rental app. This is just a tag. It helps me to sort and filter later. It doesn't do anything else. Here, port 53, that's DNS, of course. And then I have the lookup host name and the expected IP response that I would put in here. So for this case, the lookup host name is going to be the URL. It's going to be that rentalapp.stilldemo.cloud. And so I'll go ahead and put that in here, .cloud. And then my expected response. So this is going to be, we'll test from the east. So this is the address of the AWS server in the east. And so I'll go ahead. That's what, when I do this DNS test, that's what I expect from where I'm going to be testing, because we're doing regional load balancing, right? So I'm going to apply this to the NFD test east machine. And then we'll go ahead and click next. Now I need to specify what DNS server I'm going to query. And I'm just going to use a public DNS server. In this case, I'll just use 1.1.1.1. And we'll go ahead and click next. And we have our summary. Now I could click finish and this would just go and run every 5 minutes and report back to me. I can also run it ad hoc here. And as I do that, we can see that it passed. So I just did a DNS query from a machine in the east, querying and looking for the server in the east, and it comes back fine. That looks okay to me. So let's go ahead and just check our other regions, make sure they're looking okay as well. So let me close this. And let's go ahead and go back. And I'm going to change this now to the central AWS server as the response. This is what I expect to get back. And I'll go next. And we're going to change this from the east test machine to the central test machine. We'll click next. We have our DNS already. And let's select it. And again, we're going to go ad hoc. Test it right now from that machine. This time it failed. And so that doesn't look good. If I highlight this, it's telling me the DNS test failed because the response didn't match. So I did get a response, it just didn't match. So what happened there, if I look down here, the answer came back. I expected the central AWS server to come back. I actually got the east AWS server in the response. And that's testing from the machine in my central region. So that doesn't look right. Let's go back and let's test from the west and see what it looks like in the west. And okay, we'll change our IP address here. This is going to be the AWS server in the west region. And click next. And let's change the machine that we're testing from to the one that's in the west. DNS is already there, and we'll select it and we'll run that test right now from that machine in the west. And it looks like we got the same response. And again, we can see the answer came back and it's the east machine. We expected the one in the west region. So all in all, at this point, what I'm seeing is that something with DNS doesn't look right. I'm supposed to be doing that geographic load balancing and getting to a server in my region. When I resolve DNS, it's just coming in the wrong way. So I'm not sure why, but you see here the point of the synthetic testing, right? Is we set up these tests to look at things that are important to us. And here we just did them ad hoc and we tested and we get our results right away. But again, this is something that we can set. We always want to be looking at what our end users are seeing. So we put them out there in the region in different locations. We set those up and start to get a picture overall of what they're experiencing. Now, so far, what we've learned is that The network looks okay. I don't see any performance issues with my SD-WAN gateways or my core devices, anything like that. But when I do a synthetic test, it's telling me that there might be a DNS issue. So with that, my part of this would be to now refer it over and have Vince dig into it a little deeper and see if he can figure out what's going on. So